go into the chat? Would you mind going chat, please, and try to click on any link, so Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, and try to have 3 to 5 minutes to watch some moments of the video. So you should not start from the very beginning, but just, you know, go somewhere and try to see how the students speak. So please consider not only the language, but also the skills, please. Thank you. So 3 minutes. 3 minutes is going to be fine. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. So please, you keep your notes based on the video you watch, and let's start our work. So FLAND is our subject, as mentioned earlier, FLAND for Fair Student Engagement. I want to start with Roosevelt's quote. He said, "We can always build the future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future." That's very interesting. So on the basis of this quote, we understand that there is a very profound and deep interconnection between education and the global market. So for that reason, we can feel that education ensures and serves that preparatory phase, ensuring smooth integration into a dynamically evolving world. In this world, competition has taken a new dimension due to emerging new and unpredictable competitors, including artificial intelligence. So consequently, how can we ensure a successful preparation while education in many countries remains either stagnant or it changes at slower pace? For this reason, I want to connect you with Jack Ma when he says, the thing we teach our kids are the things past 200 years. It is knowledge-based. And we cannot teach our kids to compete with a machine who is smarter. We have to teach something unique. That machine can never catch up with us. And he adds, we need to be teaching our children what? Values, believing, independent thinking, teamwork, care for others. These are the soft parts. The knowledge will not teach you that. But that does not mean we have to devalue knowledge, because as humans, we're supposed to be knowledgeable. But we have to keep in mind, to prepare students for the 21st century, we have to develop their skills, soft skills, leadership skills, digital skills, social skills, and you name it. So again, I'm going to ask a question, is how can I make it? Actually, I've been thinking and working on this project for the last 6 years on how to combine flipped learning and blended learning. So I've been working on this, okay, for 6 years, I've said, and then I came up with, or I have come up with some deductions, and the major one is merging both and coming up with what I call blend. So what is a blend? In this presentation, I will try to cover the following points. First, starting with the concept, then go into process, stages, features, and rationale. Let's start with the concept. So blend, as I mentioned earlier, is based on combining two very famous, strong approaches, which are flipped learning and blend learning, because I feel that both are harmonious and they are complementary. Blend can provide students with a flexible, engaging, and group-oriented learning experience. So what are the major goals? Saying again, the major goals is keeping that balance between developing the students' knowledge, because we should not devalue it, as I mentioned earlier, and also skills. Because both can be developed in a smooth and implicit way, and we do not need to speak to students and tell them, you know, today we're going to develop your knowledge, today we're going to develop skills. They can go hand in hand, and they can be, you know, delivered in a very smooth and implicit way. So going to the process, the teachers are supposed to alternate between flipped learning and the blend learning. So flipped learning actually is used for the OCA, or we call it out-of-class activities, or we call it the individual space activities. So please, we should not confuse OCA with homework. Homework is something different. You can ask about it at the end of the session. And then we move to the ICA, which stands for in-class activities. Also, we name it group space activities. And as you can see in both, we have the word activities. And this is another very interesting point. So, but when we blend, we use blend learning actually for the asynchronous production and creativity activities. For the former, we use a Padlet as a platform. And for the second, we use Canva. Again, if there are any questions related to this point, you can ask it later, especially why production and why not practice. For me, this is a very interesting question. Let's go to stages, features, and rationale. Stage one, the very first stage that we have in Flint class is a prelude. I name it prelude and try not to confuse it with the prelude, Wordsworth, the prelude in his poetry. So prelude for me is a foundation, a very, very strong foundation of any building. It is like the substratum, the backbone of any building. So for me, prelude is not going to take short time, but it can take even 2 weeks sometimes, depending on the length and the importance of the subject. So it starts with creative fluency. And I name it creative fluency, not brainstorming. And there are reasons why. So creative fluency is mainly a visual intelligence activity. Here, the students are supposed to have a very special task, which is a picture or set of pictures or short video. They examine and they have to generate as many ideas in a very limited amount of time. Then after we move to sharing time, first they start sharing a pair, as you can see in the picture, and then we move to groups, and then it can be a larger team. Okay. After this activity, this activity is going to teach us, or is going to help the students develop the following skills. Number one, broadening the students' imagination, which helps them develop their problem-solving skill. Second, communication and fluency. I always name it learn to share and share to learn, because it is an opportunity for the students to communicate their ideas openly to, with their teams in different situations. As you can see in the picture, in the different pictures, I usually take them from the class to different spaces in order to have that real life experience. And of course, fluency, either in terms of creative fluency or in terms of speaking fluency. Vocabulary in use, so it is more about practicing what vocabulary that they have already acquired. So I have no pre-teaching vocabulary for the moment. The students are supposed to use their vocabulary, based on what they know. And last but not least, it is I share, I exist. It is a moment to develop students' self-esteem and that sense of belonging. And we should not forget having fun, because working in teams, working in a pair, using digital tools, it is always entertaining and engaging at the same time. And as you can see in the picture, it is just a random picture that I took in my class. So you can see that all of them are, you feel the happiness and you feel that they are engaged in the work. After completing these, we go to title finding. Title finding actually is a very interesting stage, and I know we use it also for even for traditional classes. We use title finding, but we use it here in a very different way. How? Because the students have already, in creative fluency, they have collected a lot of ideas, they have words. So we turn all these into a mind map, and the students are supposed to come up with the title on the base of the mind map. So they are supposed to guess the lesson title, and at this moment they develop the following skills. Number one is using mini learning. Second, conciseness, which is one of very interesting things that every teacher wants his students develop, how to be very concise, either when speaking or writing. Then boosting conceptual thinking. And last but not least, teachers gather more feedback. And in terms of feedback, I'm sure that most of you think of two types of feedback. I named them emergency feedback and standard feedback. Okay, then we move to theme exploration. The teacher is always monitoring, is always behind, is always watching. So the students are the main and the major actors. Theme exploration here, the teacher assigns an interactive quiz. Mostly I use the quizzes for this, to assess the students' knowledge about the theme. What is it about? So there are different questions that help students get the answer. For sure, when we assign a quiz at this moment, we are not assessing the students' knowledge, but we try to see how far they can go and how much they know. See, this activity is for 5 minutes. This activity is going to help me and help the students explore the subject. Exploration leads to understanding, and understanding is going to take us to empathy. And as we are dealing with the social skills and with emotional skills and with different issues in the world, this value of empathizing with the others is very interesting. And it starts exactly at this stage of subject or theme exploration. Then we take the students to what I name data bank. What is this data bank? This is a mini project activity that lasts for 10 minutes. The students in groups, they use a Padlet. So this is, here you can find some students' answers from a lower level. They use a Padlet to conduct some intensive research using artificial intelligence or AI websites, and they share the information on Padlet. So as you can see, for the first students, her name, I cannot see it very well. I think Malak, she had a picture there using artificial intelligence. That's very interesting for us. And after working on this project, of course, in teams, so they move to sharing time. This activity is going to help students develop the following things. Number one, independent reading. In-class independent reading. Number two, reading strategies, especially skimming and scanning. Number three, for me, it is one of the top priorities to develop critical thinking is asking right questions, because students, when working together, they are supposed to ask questions. Why choosing these? Why not that? And especially when exploring the subject. As I said, critical thinking, communication, and of course, teamwork. And we have data, we have a title, we have enough information. So this information or this data, it looks like it is scattered. So we have to bring it together and to be very concise, as we said a few minutes ago. So the students have to work on mind mapping. So this is a mind map I had recently with students when studying about Internet of Things. As you can see, the mind map includes some kind of guidance. So abbreviation, pros, cons, kind, AI, IoT, etc. And the students are supposed to fill in the gap there. The mind map activity takes 10 minutes. Again, students work in groups. They complete their task by answering different questions, and they are supposed to prepare a mini presentation. Don't forget, we are still in preview, and students can have short presentations based on mind map. Okay, so this activity has plenty of benefit for students, and the benefits complement what we saw earlier. Number one is the selection. The students need to know how to become selective. Second, conciseness. They have to know how to become concise when speaking or writing. C, which is very interesting for us as teachers, is paraphrasing, to avoid stereotyping and copy-paste, what we name copy-paste. And very interesting point comes later, which is organization. I have data, how I select and how I organize. And another skill, which is memory retention, which I consider one of the pillars of what we name learning how to learn. And then we go to another skill that becomes very, very familiar, which is teamwork. Okay, now I'm still in the period. Never forget, I'm taking students to what we call quote and poster bank. So maybe you can feel that creativity starts here. Earlier, there was more understanding, comprehension, and critical thinking. Now let's go to creativity. It starts here with quote and poster bank. So this activity is planned especially for students who are in the intermediate and advanced levels. They are asked to select a quote, related subject, of course. And they use Canva to create a poster. The poster should match with a quote, and then they have to share it on a Padlet. Let's see an example. So as you can see here, those are quotes and posters selected and made by students. And as you can see, most of the time you find groups, you find group of students. You can check many, and you can see like students working together. There are some very special cases, like you see there Mehdi Khadri in the last minute. So he was not with his team, so it's just trying to catch up with the others. Okay, so I have my poster that includes a picture. So what I'm gonna do, I have stations. I create stations in class, and the students try to share what they have created with other students, and they discuss their creativity. It helps students develop first creativity, as I mentioned. Digital creativity, which is a primordial, creating data bank, because the students won't be allowed to use any resource except what they have. The data bank that we saw a few minutes ago, the mind map we saw, and the quotes that we have right now. So this is the material they have the same material, and they have to use the same. So it is up to them to be creative, to see how they can use it in the right way. Critical thinking and communication, of course, the self and the peer-to-peer learning. My English in use. If you still remember at the very beginning of the session, I told you there is no pre-teaching vocabulary. The students are supposed to use their English, only their English. I don't give them any help. So now they have the title, which can be considered like a topic sentence. They have, let's say, the data bank that they can use as supporting topic sentence. And the same thing goes with the quote, etc., that can be used as support topic sentence. And they can add what we name concluding sentence. So the students can start writing paragraphs. Okay, and as you can see here, the students turn the words taken into structured paragraphs. They express themselves, because we move from writing to speaking, and vice versa. And for the teachers, they assess their progress. They try to identify the students' strength and point out their weakness that they have to work on, either in what I call emergency feedback or standard feedback. To finish the first part, I want to remind you that the prelude includes fluency, creative fluency, title, data bank, mind map, code bank, poster, and an essay. And as you can notice, we are supposed to keep that balance between the knowledge and skills. Yeah. Now we move, ladies and gentlemen, to stage 2, which is OCA, which can remind you of flip. So flip learning, Ikhwani, starts here. Individual space, let's go. My individual space includes 5 different activities. The very first one is called give time. It is a kind of an appetizer. It's a kind of activity which is related, but not very connected with the subject. For example, recently, this week, the students start working on a documentary entitled Working by President Obama. It is about working. So the gift time, it was about Charlie Chaplin's video when he was working. It is funny, interesting, engaging. The students like it so much. So you have to start with something, catchy, let's say. Then after we move to vocabulary, that's very interesting. British in vocabulary, it starts here.